Do you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Hello, everybody. This is Harold Green of Braintree Wealth Management, and it's time to stop doing what you hate. Boy, it's been an interesting time. Very, very interesting times. But I'm here to let you know that everything is going to be all right. And that's no joke. I hope you are having a fantastic day. I felt like I woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. I woke up not too early, but I got up and I was like, should I just do this show and just get it off my chest, or should I just go back to bed and get a little bit more sleep? So when I said, let me just get up. And I got up and then went to Starbucks. I got my coffee and I came back home and I did some training with my son, who is now on board full time. So welcome aboard, Dr. Alex, has his PhD in physics. And as they say, it's all math, and investments is math. Financial planning, a lot of it is, it's math, probability. So, he's fitting in quite nicely. As a matter of fact, we've been working together now for about 18 months, with him being our analyst and my sounding board to bounce off trades and to do math and make sure the numbers are checking out. So, we've been working together for quite a while. And he was just trying to figure out whether or not he wanted to be a medical physicist in the hospital for the rest of his life, and deal with the extreme hours and machines going up and down, breaking on them. It's just the healthcare field is a lot different than what it used to be. But again, Alex, welcome aboard. Glad to have you, my man. Looking forward to doing some great things with you. And, I just can't wait to see how far he takes this thing. It's always about the next generation and building for the future. And so we're excited about that. But I've had a pretty interesting week, and I always like to talk about my week, but we've had some challenging things to deal with. But in the midst of dealing with challenges, you find the bright spots in life. You find the things that matter the most to you, which is your family, your faith, your friends, and just recentering yourself. So my wife and I, we went out Sunday and we bought some. I think it was Saturday or Sunday. We bought some plants to plant in the yard, because up here in Vegas, it is very rocky soil. And what we found was, and this kind of blew my mind, I was so mad. I might have even said a swear word or two, but nothing too serious, nothing too bad. And we're sitting here, we're digging the hole to replant some of these plants, and we ran into some problems as we dug in the ground. And we kept hitting these rocks. And so my wife was like, they're small rocks. And I just kept digging. Man, we pulled out boulders and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is boulders doing in here? I mean, this is the yard. So apparently when they put in our pool, they had big chunks of goodnight or whatever, when you make the pool, there's just these rocks and stuff. And so it was just kind of crazy. So I dug out as much as I could, and then I was able to dig down a little bit further, and I felt good about it because I finally got to some soil that it was a little rocky, but it wasn't these big cinder blocks of rock down there. And I told my wife, I said, there ain't no way in hell the plant gonna go through this rock. This is like a cinder block. The plant is strong, but it ain't that strong. It ain't gonna grow through a cinder block. So we dug that stuff up, and it was just exhausted at the end of the day. But it was good. The weather was really nice up here in Vegas, and so I was really excited about that, to have some nice weather, just kind of be outside, getting your hands dirty, and just kind of doing a little work in the yard. So I guess I'm getting old when I enjoy doing yard work, but it was pretty cool. But getting into the topic of the show, and the title of today's show is Keys to Retirement Handcuffs. And what I'm finding, more and more people in this extreme environment of layoffs, downsizing, right sizing, whatever you want to call it, companies making adjustments to make sure they stay profitable. We're dealing with a lot of stuff. And if you know of anybody who's getting laid off or downsized or whatever, and they really don't know where to turn or what to do, have them give me a call and I'll talk to them for free, not charge them. Just kind of look at what they got, give them some ideas on what it is they need to do, and kind of tell them where to go. Because one of the worst things you can do in a situation where things look real bad is to compound your situation and make it worse by making bad emotional decisions. And so, keys to retirement handcuffs. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's get it. First of all, I want to give you a market update. So when we talk about the stock market, all investments do carry risk of loss. Past performance is no indicator of future results. Before you invest, make sure you do your due diligence, understand your risk tolerance, your time horizon. and make sure you are investing according to a well-balanced, comprehensive financial plan. If you need to go get adjustments or not adjustments, but if you need to go get second opinion, third opinion, do that before you invest, because right now is a very volatile time to invest in the market. And the market is gripped with fear. And the market right now, if we look at the CNN Fear Greed Index, it is at extreme fear. Now, by the time you hear this show, it might improve a little bit, but it's been in extreme fear for over a week. The lowest it got down to yesterday, I believe, when I looked at it, was 15. That is bad. This is kind of like where everybody says, just sell everything, run for the hills. All hell is breaking loose. Things are getting bad. We got trade wars, and no, it's not a trade war. This is not a trade war. And one of the things I understand about the media is they're big on words. They're big on words that will generate emotions, and that's how they get paid, is by generating emotions in people to get them to do things that they ordinarily would not do through emotion and fear and so on and so forth. And I think this is all media generated. When we ran the numbers this week and we looked at everything, the fundamentals of the stocks have not changed. But the one thing we do see in this negative environment is we do see companies sandbagging their guidance for the future. I don't know if you ever played spades, but you sandbag and say, how many books you think you can get, how many, it's like, I think I can get 2, but you got a hand, you can get like 5 or 6. And so you like sandbag. And that's what they're doing with the guidance. They know things are going to turn around, but when they sandbag on guidance, it just drives the market down. They can beat on earnings and all of that, beat estimates or whatnot, but future guidance, they look at it and say, oh man, this company said they're not going to do so well. The market looks like this and like that. And so boom, they just sell off the stock. And then the next thing the next quarter, when things turn around, it's like, oh, surprise, we did good. It's like, well, that's too little too late to the people who got out of the position because you sandbagged on guidance. And that's just part of the game. And so you got to know when to buy, when to sell. And right now, when the market is in extreme fear, this is when you should be buying. As I told my clients this week in our market minute, we are a net buyer of the options on certain stocks. And so we have our cheat sheet. So let's go back to tariffs. And one of the things that I want you to understand about tariffs is they're like a one-time shock to the system. And the problem is it's not going to be that bad unless they keep raising tariffs like tit for tat, tit for tat. If the tariffs keep going up higher and higher, then it's going to become problematic. But I do think that, what the current administration is after is fair and reciprocal trade. If you go study trade history, you'll understand what I'm saying and not just watch what they're saying on TV, but just go study trade history. If you're interested in anything and learning about finances and what drives the market, go study trade history and some economics, and that'll help you out a lot. And the other words you're going to hear coming up soon, pretty much, are going to be like recession, 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 or government shutdown, shutdown, shutdown. And when you start hearing these words, it's like, oh my God, let's just like not spend, let's buckle down, let's not do anything. They're even talking about stagflation, right? That's like low GDP, high inflation, stagflation. The market is not, productivity is down, but inflation is high. And then you got bond yields that are dropping like a rock. Ever since January, these bond yields have been dropping like a rock. And the bond yields, I believe, indicate what the Fed ought to be doing. But with the talk of inflation and the fear and expectations of higher inflation expectation fears are higher because the market is, the media is just making it sound like that. It's not based on fundamentals. It's just based on emotion. I'll tell you that ahead of time. The Fed is sitting there talking about keeping interest rates unchanged, but, that's their prerogative. They all have a job to do. And then, as I stated, we have the fear and greed index, which is just extreme fear. This is when we should be buying, and this is when your investment advisor should be buying, unless it goes against your financial plan. Okay, that's the only time you shouldn't be buying a down market is when it goes against your financial plan. But if you still have time and your plan allows it, you've sold and rotated, now you have cash ready to go. This is when I'm buying for my clients. Okay, because we've done fantastically phenomenal once the market has rebounded. And also the fact that we're living in a bifurcated economy, that's very alarming. When they come out and say the economy is doing well, here's what you need to understand. Right now it's doing well for rich people. And if rich people made up the economy, then you can say the economy is doing well. But it's not made up of rich people. It's the rich, the middle class, and then people who don't have as much. But right now it's separated into those who have and those who have not. And so, give you an example, when you look at Dollar General and you look at their stock price over the last year or two, it's been crashing. But if you look at Ferrari stock, RACE, RACE, it's it's blowing up. There's a line for Ferraris out the door. And people have money and the economy is doing well. Well, not according to Dollar General, not according to Walmart, not according to Target, not according to places like Restoration Hardware, right? So, in the midst of all of this, people are going to be laid off and they're going to be forced to retire. And then you have the people that are going to be left behind, and a lot of the work is going to be put on them. So, here's what I'm going to submit to you today. There are reasons why people won't retire. Either they feel like they don't have enough money and they need to earn, they need to earn more and save more. Okay. Or they're just unhappy with the state of affairs of the economy, and they don't think that if they get out there and retire, it's a happy thing for them. It could be psychological, emotional, whatever it might be. And I'm going to give you some ideas that hopefully will help you. If you want to retire early, you can do so, and it's not going to break the bank. So these things are kind of like escape hatches, and they'll let you off without penalties and things like that. You still got to pay the taxes, but you won't have to pay any penalties if you implement these strategies to get out of the retirement door a lot sooner and to unlock the retirement handcuffs. Now, one of the things you can do is what's called a 72T. And a 72T is an equal distribution of a sum of money over a period of time. So let's say you got $500,000 in your 401k and you want to get out there and you want to move on to a different job, but you're just afraid that you might need to supplement your income from a lower paying job. We can do what's called a 72T. And if you're 50 years old, you can take the 72T for 5 years or 59 and a half, whichever comes later. So if you're at 50, then basically 5 years or 59 and a half, you'll have to take it until you're 59 and a half. Only problem is if you stop taking the 72T, you're going to get penalized on the amounts that you don't take out. And so you have to kind of keep this thing going. And I think I've probably done one or two 72Ts in my lifetime, and that's to fund life insurance policies when people couldn't, get the money out. We've done other things with it, and then we took out the periodic sum of money and we just put it in the life insurance policy, or we use it to help supplement other type of income. So we've done that. Now, what I like about the 72T is there's no penalty. You can take the money out with no penalty whatsoever, but you have to pay the taxes on it. And again, if you're going to go work part-time and take a lower paying job, this can help offset or supplement that, as well as if you're married, your spouse can keep working and help generate the income, or you can use it to help cover medical, because a lot of times you might take a new job and the medical is just not there. And so now you have to pay the medical. The 72T can help with that. The other thing you can do is, now the one thing I like about the 72T is you roll it out of your employer's 401k plan into your own IRA, and then you have the freedom to trade whatever you want inside of that IRA account, that rollover IRA. Now, the rule of 55 will allow you to do something similar, but it requires you leaving the money with your employer inside of their 401k plan. And you can begin, as long as you're age 55, you can start taking out the distributions or just taking out any amount of money you want. There is no periodic sum. If you say, hey, this year I need 30 grand, you can take 30 grand out of your 401k without being penalized. Next year you say, I might need 100, you can take 100 out without being penalized. The next year you might need $3 out. I mean, not $3, but what I'm saying is you may not need as much. Okay. And so it's totally flexible. And then when you turn 59 and a half, you can roll it over somewhere else. And then there is no penalties on what you take out or when you take it out, as long as you're 59 and a half, but you have to pay the taxes. Now, one of the things I've ran into with the rule of 55 is we have very limited investment choices. Now, some of these platforms, they may just have 10 to 15 mutual funds that you can buy. Some could have 10,000 mutual funds that you can buy. But when you look at the performance of it, the performance is not, it's not like they're giving you the same returns every single year. It varies. And so you're going to have to go through a mutual fund screener and just keep screening mutual funds and rotating like crazy. And it's an active management job. Even with mutual funds, if you're in a rule of 55, it makes it really, really hard. So what I tell my clients to do is, look, if we can move the money over to, say, your Schwab account, and we can trade options in there, because say you're not allowed to trade options in your current 401k. If we're in a down market right now, and I'm not saying there's guarantees, at the same time, the market goes up and down. If we know that we're going to be buying stocks that are beaten down right now, and we're buying options on the stocks that have been beaten down right now, even if you have to pull off a rule of 55, okay, I'm just saying that, let me take that back, not pulling off a rule of 55. It may just make more sense putting it over in your IRA and then doing the 72T versus the rule of 55, just because of limited investment choices. We'll have to figure it out, but still, it's a way to help supplement your retirement or be your only source of retirement if you have to get out of that job sooner than you want to. Very important to understand. And that's why it's important for you to have a financial plan so that you understand what your options are. My clients, I would say 90% of them right now that are still working, they know what their options are. They know when they can retire. Right now, for them, it's just a matter of they might feel like they're too young. They might feel like, hey, I got a lot more work to do in this company. They might feel like, hey, I love what I'm doing. I'm enjoying my job. I don't need to retire because I love what I do. I love my boss. I like my coworkers. My job is fulfilling and satisfying. Great. Then you don't need to get out. All right. Keep doing what you're doing. Okay. Now, the third key that is not talked about much because it's considered risky is this. It's tapping into your home equity line of credit. And when rates were really low, I told my clients, I said, guys, look, go get home equity lines of credit. Get as much as the banks will allow you. Some did, some didn't. And the ones who didn't said, well, I don't need a line of credit. What do I need a line of credit for? I don't need it right now. I said, yeah, but eventually rates are going to go back up. Rates are not going to stay down here in 2 and 3% forever. Get the line of credit just so you have it, even if you're not going to use it, because you never know when something could come up and we have to lean on that line of credit. And it's risky because you take that loan on that line of credit, say you get the line open and you retire, say you retire 5 years early and you need an additional $50,000 to help supplement your part-time income. You don't have it all in your 401k. We can't do the 72T for whatever reason, okay? Or we shouldn't do the 72T. Let's just say that those are not options for you and the home equity line of credit is kind of like your best and only option. Well, you take the line of credit, 5 years, basically that's $250,000. And you can pay some of it back slowly because the first year, $50,000 may only cost you like $100 a month or $200 a month, or maybe even $300, depending on the interest rate. It's not a lot to give you the freedom that either you're looking for or to help pay for healthcare or whatever if you get forced out of a job. So I just wanted to give you these ideas today and just kind of run these things by you, because you may find yourself in these situations where you get either, they kick you out the door, or you're one of the only ones left behind, and now you're working so hard to do the work of 5 people, it's just driving you insane. And that's what's probably going to happen. And that's what has happened to some of my clients, and they've retired early because they've just got overworked. Some have had to change careers or whatever it might be because company downsized and now they're just overworked, and it's not fair. But that's the way life is today. And if you want to know more about your situation and whether or not these options could benefit you, please get on my calendar by calling Beverly at 808-521-4401. And we'll talk to you for free and then give you an assessment and then let you know where you stand. And it doesn't cost you anything. And the worst thing to do is nothing when you can prepare. Okay? I'm going to say that again. The worst thing you can do is nothing when you can prepare. And sometimes preparing is just getting information so that you're better educated. All right. So thanks for allowing me to share today's show with you folks. Until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.